A lot of the stuff I talk about and, have can continuously have conversation about. And the reason why I can keep talking about it is because I am actively giving thought form and language into trying to explain what I am beholden to, what I am experiencing as far as my mind and the internal experience seems to be limitless. I can't get to some limit or end with it. It's always ever beyond what I can ever put words to. It feels fantastic. If words could express just how incredible it really feels. Uh, to recognize a union with the life you're having, the sky, the stars, the sun, the air, the oxygen, all the other consciousnesses and beings that seem to be happening simultaneous. At times I'm in awe of the magnificence. The magnificence. And sometimes I need to just lose myself in it. To be able to come back and express to words what this means, how I'm experiencing it, what I think's going on, how I feel it's all going on, and what the meaning behind it all seems to represent. And I think it's something. I see it. I feel it. It's something beyond any way that I can bring it on down. And because all I have to work with is time and words and symbols, and I can put it into little fragments and try and point at this thing that is transcendent to the experience that we're having. It's the whole experience as one total thing, one harmonious event. And our experience of time and spaciousness and separateness, and meanings and all of the different meanings that we have for everything, and the multiplicity and the infinitude that is experienced within, is all part of one thing that is more than that is transcendent to that is beyond that is happening within this one ultimate thing. And to be readily aware of it and recognize it, to recognize my sense of cognition with that, to recognize, to put that into who I am, I have to approach this language differently. I have to dive and delve into the meaning of the words that we share. And no matter what, that's what I'm going to be. That's what I'm here doing. I am trying to find words, trying to express something that lies beyond expression, like the source of expression. Where is that coming from? And I think where it's coming from and the source of it is the same in relation to the experience of it. That what you're experiencing, a lot of it you don't want to attend to. There's a lot that people want to avoid, and they've set up walls to it. They've set up fear in front of those walls, and being able to see all what's going on. See all what's going on within yourself. Seeing what's going on within your mind, in your psyche, and what you're responsible for as far as the experience that you're having is frightening. To really beholden to that, to see yourself in that light, that you are capable of conceiving of such things that are so far removed from what love is, from what truth is, from what care and compassion and meaning, how important that is, and how distorted you can go, and how you can actually conceive of such perversions, such atrocities. You are capable, each and every one of us, of imagining the most horrific. That lies within us too. It's part of the experience. And that's a part of you too. And to lay claim to that, to take ownership of that in your life, is a bold move. That's a bold fucking step. That takes some courage. To face your demons and your fears and own them as though they are you. Because we strive in seeking love to defeat that. We think that is something that needs to be defeated. And so we go through this war with ourselves. A war with ourselves. Again, implying that you have these multiple selves. The selves is the structure of the ego. The selves is the identity. That's all the different faces that you have in your life. And your meaning behind every one of those faces. And the faces of others. The faces of your fears. The faces of your demons. Everything has a face. And that's the way that it presents itself to you. But the way that the world presents itself to you is a reflection of how you're perceiving it. That's the way you receive it. Unless you took the time or had the experiences that allowed you to have a sense of awareness outside of your perception of a thing, and you could see it in a sense objectively, without imparting any sort of meaning to a thing, letting it be all unto its own, you'll recognize that there's a relationship between you and that within your own reality, within your own dimensionality. And that individuated consciousness, as you perceive it being separate from you, is happening in its own space-time. That is outside or lays beyond your own space-time, your personal individual space-time experience that you're experiencing. That, what I'm saying is space-time experience, universe consciousness is something that's happening for you, by you. And that can be said the same for all of consciousness. But there's no way that you can be aware in your current individuated egoic perspective. There's no way that you can recognize that their experience is even happening. You can only see it from the periphery of your eternal experience as a concept that comes to you about, or is projected to you from another's experience. You can never truly know another's experience or a consciousness's experience of itself except through you and by you. That's again why meditation and prayer is so powerful, because it's taking your attention that you would otherwise disperse into the idea and conceptualization format of experiencing your reality. Instead, that dispersed energy into separating everything out goes into unification. Unification is what happens when you bring your attention away from your minds, your thoughts, your different selves, and goes back to, in a sense, the I. So that's you can see yourself when you're having a discussion with yourself and you're going into dialogue, you're going into mental chatter. You're starting with I, and then you're creating something and identifying with it. You're saying, I am this. And by saying, I am this, that's what you pay attention to. You decide to go inside and watch Wheel of Fortune. That's like you sitting down at the couch and saying, I am Wheel of Fortune. This is who I am right now. This is how I'm experiencing my life right now. Sitting in front of the TV watching Wheel of Fortune. And I am Pat Sajak. Can't remember. I am, Vanna White, right?
Right.
Like, I am all these characters as I'm experiencing them. That's what you're saying you am. And the part that lies past am, the I am, that's being fed to you through the universe that you're experiencing. Well, all those definitions and all those symbologies, as they're feeding them to you through their consciousness, in presenting it as a game show on a screen, and then the people in the room and the way that they're interpreting what's going on, all of that's going on there, those mental thought forms or exercises in thought and consciousness are what you're experiencing and who you are in that moment. So even sitting there watching TV, there is a transcendent part of yourself that is in full union with the room you're in, that with the air that you're breathing, with the drink that you're drinking, with the television, the electricity in the walls, the breathing, and the flow, the steady flow and currents of all the air and molecules in the air that we're ingesting and inhaling, and also the intangible waves of thought form that exist beyond the physical experience of them, beyond the just not only the sensations that you can have through any of your five senses, that's so far beyond what's going on, but also happening simultaneously that you could literally meditate on anything imaginable. You could just completely focus on scent and gain this union with that. But in doing that, that's what you am. That's what you are in that moment. You are smell, you are smell, you are smell. And that in itself is a meditation. So you could... The mere act of harnessing one's attention is making it happen more efficiently, releasing resistance more efficiently. And by resistance, I mean the stress that you put yourself through in trying to amount to something, to heal, to express yourself, to do your job, to interact with life, and the stresses that come with that, and the dramas that arise with other people, happens because we're so caught up in it. We're so caught up in the mind game that we play with everybody else and ourselves, that we forget that we are something that exists beyond the mind, that we breathe life into the mind, that the mind exists because of us. But we live in a society, we live in a belief structure that has applied all of the significance to the operation of the brain, and the mind, and we think that if the mind is the great source, the great conceiver, the great origin. But in that way of thinking, we forget how important the heart is, and that is just as much a prevalent experience as is all of the mental findings that we can possibly have in our experience. There's also the raw feeling of the experience that is just as significant, if not transcendent to the meaning of significance that our mind puts it in. That our mind is associated with putting everything in boxes and labeling everything and assigning meaning to everything. But the heart is what's exchanging the meaning, is imbuing the meaning, is putting the meaning within. And the mind forgets its relationship with the heart, and there's a disconnect there. And in doing that, we actually underestimate the mind. We underestimate how powerful this mind really is. And we forget that it's up to us what we choose to do at any given time. We forget that. That's the only power that anyone has. When you really think about it, the only power anyone has is the choice of where they place their attention. Nothing more, nothing less. And that amounts to everything that a human can do. to make something of their life, to have an impact, to live a life at all, to have an experience. It's just we have our mind collectively, by consensus, we've all agreed to interact with each other, putting the mind on the pedestal of being the prime decider of how things should operate and how things should work. And it's also manifested itself in the social dichotomy that we experience between men and women. Because women are typically more heart-centered, where men are typically more mentally centered. They tend to, and I'm not saying it's the same for everybody, obviously, you can see that. The nuances of all of the polarities and the meanings that we get behind everybody, and our interpretation and understanding of what love is as multifaceted and curious and beyond each one of us individually as the vastness of love truly is, what that really truly means, what that really truly represents. And again, this is going to go back to a conversation about conditionality and how we condition our love, how we condition what we put the borders up, we put the leash on our heart. The mind does that, right? The mind is doing that. The mind is operating under the protocol of the ego, and the ego is most concerned with surviving, is staying alive, because there's something that exists beyond the ego's perception of itself that it can only recognize as death, unknown, fear, not me. Chaos, misunderstanding, just what that energy represents. Is what you could call the void. The space beyond what you could possibly imagine. The place where fear and trembling and the destruction and discombobulation of everything that you think you are, who you are, your life, your body, your experience, the end, what you think that is, you have a relationship with that, and that is a prevalent part of the experience. That plays a role in everybody's life. Because, again, we're experiencing this great dichotomy. Pieces of us die all the time. The ego is dying off all the time and being reborn. Cells are dying off all the time and being reborn. That cycle is ever going all around us. I mean, it's only because of the cycles of energy within the atoms and within the neutrons and protons that make up all the matter ever must be flowing and generating in order for us to experience it. And the relationship between our conscious experience and what's happening on a physical level is an agreement or a concordance that's happening in non-physical experience, in non-physical reality, which again lies beyond an individuated conscious experience of a self-image, of being an individual amongst other individuals. Yeah, I'm going off now.
I'm going to stop it.